So really from this time yesterday, the potential for tropical development has really increased.
Yep.
And it is looking likely now.
Yes.
And what we were waiting on, of course, is forecast models haven't agreed on whether, number one, this low is moving offshore.
Yeah.
Number two, how
if
long.
if it's far enough offshore
Right.
to actually continue developing
Yes.
or develop, period.
And now they're coming into a little bit better agreement. We'll show you that. So check out their tropic update here. So now we don't have a invest, we have a potential tropical cyclone. And you see that at the very far corner of your picture. That is what is going to be moving its way off the coast of Texas. This is still, of course, in South Texas. And you can
Brownsville
see,
area, Corpus Christi, you know.
look at the convection on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's talking about blowing up and showing up here, right?
Yeah. And again, we mentioned this yesterday, and today's forecast is actually what we were expecting. We were expecting the potential for at least a depression out of this if it moves offshore long enough, Arthur. But again, this one is just going to be all about that moisture. And we joke about this. A tropical system like this is a drought buster.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of portions that this is moving into that are not in a drought.
No. And in fact, we had that. We had Hurricane Floyd in New Jersey that broke the back of a drought in 1998, 1999, and it was great. But we got a foot of rain in one day, and significant, severe flooding.
Yeah.
Rivers overflowed and things like that. So there were a couple towns that were literally underwater. But
yes,
it literally broke a drought in one day.
Here's the unfortunate thing that you can see for us. What we have right here is high pressure. So all this is doing is taking all this moisture and shooting it right over top of us. Plus there's a front here that is stalled, so that acts like a highway. So the front is here, a high is here, so basically it takes all that moisture, hits it up against that front, and pushes it right out to sea. And we look to get possibly zero impacts out of the system.
So if this were stronger, let's say if it was a hurricane or something like that, that area of high pressure would have totally protected us, and we would be so happy it was there.
Yes.
But since we want those drought-busting rains, if the high wasn't there, it would have a little more wiggle room to slide southward and provide some beneficial rains for us. So I guess we can't be overly upset because that is the exact setup we want. If that were a hurricane, to sort of protect the west coast of Florida.
It's the setup we wanted with Milton.
Right.
That we didn't get.
Exactly.
Yes, it would have pushed Milton right up into the northern Gulf Coast. It might not even been a Category 5.
Right.
But instead, there was nothing in the Gulf to stop it, and it came right towards us. This one, as you can see, the forecast models, these are your spaghetti models. These are the individual forecast models.
Right, each spaghetti, piece of spaghetti, if you will, what looks like a spaghetti strand, is a different computer model. So, when you see them all smushed together like that, that's pretty good agreement.
Want to point this out, though. Here is the coast of Texas. So as you can see, the bulk of them are offshore.
Right.
It just depends on if it's this forecast model that hugs the coast and it becomes maybe a tropical depression, maybe nothing, or if it's these that have it out over water and maybe pushing into Louisiana. This would be of course, tropical storm here.
And maybe even a hurricane, maybe a low-end Cat 1, perhaps, if it's far enough offshore, if everything comes into play. There's two things we like to say, tropical meteorology. One, it only takes one, right, when we're talking about the season. And number two is what I like to say, and I don't know if anyone else wants to follow suit. The only thing predictable about a tropical system is that there inherently is some element of unpredictableness. Right. And that is always, I think, going to be the case.
And you see, of course, why we call this spaghetti. Here is basically, you would say the mean. This is where most of them are, in this area right here. And again, here is the coast, kind of right here. So most of them have it barely offshore. So again, maybe from depression, maybe to a weak tropical system. So that's what we're looking at. So there it is. As the National Hurricane Center official forecast shows it a tropical storm by tomorrow morning.